Today we'll be diving headfirst into the chaotic world of We Love Katamari REROLL plus Royal Revelry, a title so Japanese, modern isekais can trace their lineage back to it. I'm kidding, of course. This is actually a 2023 remaster of the second game in the Katamari series, 2005's We Love Katamari. I've heard of these games, they're pretty famous for their off-the-wall aesthetics and imagery, so I'm excited to roll into this colorful world. The gist is rolling stuff up into balls, though why and to what end remains to be seen. Katamari is in the same bucket as Little Big Planet for me. Games I know are popular featuring little guys, but I've never actually gotten to play them. As mentioned, we're starting with the sequel, not ideal, but Game Pass give, Game Pass take. Off the get-go, we're asked a simple question. Start rolling.
Yes.
We affirm a loud musical number playing, dramatic and childish visuals accompanying. It's extremely Japanese from my Western perspective, reminding me of those strange commercials you might see on YouTube with no context. The number ends, taking us into a piano melody on the main menu. We pick our save file and a monologue begins.
The Great Cosmos. A world of mystery both tantalizing and terrifying. Not a very well-publicized world, you understand, but a glamorous and influential world nevertheless.
This monologue gives us the plot of the first game very openly. In summation, this game only exists in universe because people wanted to play more
Katamari Reverie.
If that's not a reason for a sequel, really, what is?
I want to roll up more stuff.
We speak to the king, a giant freak, plainly, who would do great in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Dialogue isn't voiced, but it's accompanied by this cool record scratching noise. I really dig it. The king wants us to go to Earth and appease the fan base he's gained from the first game. This will be done naturally by rolling the Katamari. We get chucked to Earth with the goal of making dreams come true. As the prince, we're stationed on an overworld, a simple plane reminiscent of a small town. There's a fan longing for our attention, no doubt our first mission. The music only plays when we move, which is a very fun touch. A bird offers the game's options, and while none jump out, the labels are kinda funny. Speaking to the fan, we start the tutorial level, which teaches us how to roll the Katamari. The king reappears, presenting us the Katamari. We're tasked with moving it, and yeah, the controls are really something else. It's very hard to describe the feeling, but I have no idea how the inputs I'm actioning translate. This is easily one of the least intuitive control schemes I've ever used. While I'm sure I'll get the hang of it, I can see it turning people away. After collecting some random objects to build up the Katamari enough to overcome a wall, the king prompts us to roll up our cousin, and we do so for some reason. The level ends, and I feel overwhelmed and completely unsure. The king takes the Katamari we've rolled and places it up into the heavens, repopulating the cosmos he emptied in the first game. Returned to the overworld, our cousin Ace now chills, and we're given the option to swap between him and the prince. That's the prince, by the way. The cousins, it seems, are more akin to alternate costumes than anything. There's now a collection screen, showcasing everything we've rolled up, but we can explore this more later. The first non-tutorial level is billed as an Earth home, and we're given both a time limit and a specific size goal to reach. I'll admit, I'm not big on time trials in games. I feel like the pressure to complete the goal takes away from enjoying the details of the experience. We run around, snails, ants, and a crayfish crawling around as we go. I panic a bit honestly, the controls are obtrusive, and while I want to enjoy the curation of objects, the timing forces me to keep it pushing. We managed to get the Katamari large enough to grab cousin Macho, who was riding around on the crayfish. If every level has a cousin hanging out, I can see myself trying to nab them all. We finish out the level, meeting the goal. I feel pretty good about this, that is until both the king and the fan complain about the lacking size of the Katamari. This deflates my victory. Why give us a goal only to be dissatisfied after meeting it? I don't know if this is to encourage replay for a higher score, or if it's just the king's personality. Probably both. A strange cutscene follows of the king as a child being forced to do structured activities rather than being a normal kid. As Macho, we take up our next level. A mother is dissatisfied with her kid's messy room, so we'll be rolling it up for her. The king asks us to be quick in his dialogue, but there's no actual time limit. This makes the experience much more enjoyable, getting to settle into the vibe of collecting junk. While the controls are still an annoying barrier, I'm starting to get the appeal. The music is also interesting, oscillating from strange to enjoyable, like your esoteric friends on Ox. Along the way, we find another cousin and a present. The king is gleeful over the discovery, telling us not to lose it. After completion, our work is again dissed by both the king and his fan, whatever. The open present contains an antenna, an accessory that can be used to customize the prince and kin. We also gain access to the bamboo sword of memory, which transports us to a separate section of the overworld where we play as the king in his youth. We take on the available level, and it's just a harder version of the childhood bedroom level we just did. We failed to collect everything, but still seem to pass. Our next fan is a sleeping guy, and it's become apparent the dialogue eats up a large chunk of this experience. While most of it has the option to skip, I wonder if it was that way in the original release. We run around another house, building up the Katamari. When we hit our first size goal, the king lets us know we can now leave the house. We stumble out. Down a hill, there's a whole new area outside for us to explore. We hit 50 cm as the timer winds down. As usual, the king isn't impressed by our victory. We're then shown a sad scene of him losing a competition as a child. The next level is an underwater adventure, swimming with sea creatures. This is very cool, and it reminds me of those TikTok videos where dudes go scuba diving and just collect everything they can. There's a fishing line that'll bring us up to the surface, disrupting our flow and forcing us to break it off.
Birdie. Birdie, birdie.
At one point, we had a treasure chest, launching some gold out for the taking. We nab a new cousin, our aquarium Katamari coming out pretty nice. Though we do cut it pretty close, and the king is less than thrilled at our efforts. This is starting to feel more like a disappoint your dad simulator than anything, and in multiple ways. Back in the overworld, a talking dog asks us to roll up the sun, so yeah, we're gonna do that. This is a very cool level, planets dotting the starry expanse. We roll up a few planets, but the starfield's pretty barren. We launch our celestial Katamari at the sun, but there just isn't enough mass, so it doesn't work out. The planets seem to correlate to the levels we've previously completed, so I leave it for now. We've got to make more Katamari before we can beat this endgame level. We move on to another level, this one focused on collecting flowers. This is fun and whimsical, the plants rolling into a very nice ball. We start getting some creatures as it grows and nab a cousin. I try to get the centaur and the peacock, but I don't get large enough in time to nab them. In the end, we get the dub, and the king is disappointed, just according to Keikaku. We see another flashback of the king as a lad, this time fighting muggers as opera music plays. For a game about rolling a Katamari, there sure is a lot of time spent not rolling a Katamari. We've hit the main stride, it seems. Start level, king yaps, yaps more, roll Katamari, king disappointed yapping, repeat. The next level is back in the house before moving back into the yard. The reuse of locations like this isn't ideal in my opinion. The gameplay mechanic is the same every level, so it really depends on the environment and items to bring novelty. Environmental reuse diminishes that. We go even further from the home this time, into town after reaching 50 cm. I'll note here, the game doesn't load the level all at once, it actually loads the next section as you reach the CM goal. It halts play, loads the next section, offers dialogue to tell you it's now available, and then resumes play. The game writes this off in a funny manner, but it's actually very intrusive, and while I can see it being needed in 2005, I really can't see a case for it in 2023. I know this is a remaster and not a remake, but this seems like something that should have been fixed regardless. Near the end of the level, we're able to finally roll humans, which is something I've been waiting for. We keep it pushing, acquiring all we can, but fail to meet the goal at the last second. The failure screen is pretty stark, the king and his fan angered by our ineptitude. His dialogue is tailored to the level, a nice touch. There's a lot of things you can say about this game, but skimped on dialogue is not one. In fact, the dialogue eats a lot of the game, and while at first it was charming, it's just become a chore. It's all flamboyant and nonsensical, which while whimsical, reaches a point. I just want to roll stuff, man. On the second go, we move much faster, rolling into the yard area without much hassle. The secret to good rolling is avoiding things that make the Katamari hard to roll. This sounds obvious, but it can be easy to fixate on grabbing everything indiscriminately for size. It's best to try and keep the ball even. In the town section, we get even bigger, faster, scooping up people. Eventually we get so large we gather whole tables and vending machines, the goal met. This was a lot more fun the second go. Bigger Katamari are just a lot more fun. In the end, the king enjoys our Katamari for the first time, a win all around. Next is the school, and I'm glad to see a new environment. We start on a desk, rolling as one does. Hitting the floor, we continue on. Eventually, we leave the classroom out into the hallway. More classrooms await, ripe for the rolling. We even roll into the boys' bathroom, which is funny and weird. Though, as we grow the Katamari, it becomes harder to get in and out of the rooms. We clear, but the king is back to being disappointed. We watch the young king meet a woman, love at first sight. The next level is sumo focused, our Katamari being a wrestler we need to feed so he can get large enough to defeat his opponent. While this level is just a variation of the town section, the novelty of the Katamari being a human makes up for that. We're not given a set size, instead just told we need to make our sumo large enough to win before the clock runs out. Near the end, we hit a good weight, but I wonder just where the enemy actually is. I haven't seen him. After a few seconds, I realized he's probably at the schoolyard, and lo and behold. We do some more quick eating and then take him on, winning easily. The king seems satisfied, putting our opponent into the heavens. Hansel and Gretel give our next quest. We're rolling candy. We're tasked with rolling up the witch's gingerbread house and then the siblings to win. I'm a little apprehensive at first due to the house's size, but it comes apart in small chunks, making it very easy. The witch flies around with a present, so when we're large enough, we nab her too. House collected, we end the level by rolling up Hansel and Gretel. The king seems fine with our product, and the present yields a long nose. In another flashback, we see the king and his girl have romantic moments. Next is collecting paper cranes for a kid's sick friend. There's 1,000, so I already know I'm not going to get most of them. We start small, and rolling is a pain, the cranes giving the Katamari a poor shape. By the time we get solid momentum, we've lost a lot of time. We find a cousin laid up in the bathroom. Extremely funny. A crane walks the halls with a present, and we manage to grab it last second. While we don't get 1,000, we get over 600, enough to clear the level. The present contains a pochette, which is a word I've never heard of before. Our next Katamari is on fire, and we're tasked with hitting an unlit bonfire with the blaze, helping out a camper. We get 6 minutes, and I don't think much of this, collecting stuff as I go, figuring I'll need the size. It goes fine at first, but I take too long between items, the fire going out. This insta loses the level. The king shares his wrath. This level is the pits. While the concept is fine, the controls keep me from being able to perform the way I would like to. There's also the matter of my greed. 2 runs end in failure because I tried to get the present under the bridge. Eventually, I just have to give up on it. We do get the cousin though, a freaky mushroom guy, so that's a plus. In total, I play this level 5 times before securing the dub. Again, we see a flashback to the young king, this time fighting with his dad. Racing is the theme of the next level, the Katamari moving by itself. This is easily the best level so far. The environment is a racetrack on an island, and we get battered around by racers bouncing this way and that. The Katamari gets pretty big pretty fast, swallowing the competitor cars, horses, people. We can even dip out into the water, hassling swimmers and boats. Eventually we get so big we nab a helicopter, parasailers, and a present. The king isn't thrilled at our Katamari, but I had a lot of fun, so it's a big win in my book. We get a horsey accessory from the present. An old woman hails us for the next level. We start very small and are given 12 minutes to make a very large ball. This makes me nervous. Losing this means wasting 12 minutes at a time, very far from ideal. We give it our best, but end up moving at a very less than ideal pace. Our first size goal leads us out of the yard and back into town. While I don't have a solid grasp of where I should be compared to the time left, I know I'm underperforming. We hit our second size goal, but it just seems to unlock a small farm, adding little. This really confuses me. It seems like such a small area to warrant a loading pause. By the time I realize there's a whole town across the water to the left of the farm, it's too late. I lose, and the king fries us. The second go, we keep a much better pace, but it still feels tight. We head into the new city area as soon as we can, collecting as much as possible in this unknown world. We get large enough to start sucking up cars, but it doesn't seem to be enough. Close to the goal, we run out of material. As we're about to lose, we nestle up to the Ferris wheel by chance. The wheel's carts begin slamming into the Katamari, stacking onto one another. This earns us the win with only seconds to spare. The king isn't thrilled, but I'm ecstatic, relieved we don't have to go through that level again. We see the young king spying on his father, learning he retrieved the trophy thrown away earlier. A fundraiser for red panda preservation awaits us, and the Katamari we're given has a pretty odd shape. We're not given a set size goal, rather each item has a monetary value, and we have to earn as much money as we can. There's a flea market at the school which is cool, offering an arrangement of items. We nab a royal crown, and the seller feebly chases after us, trying to reclaim his lost wares. In the end, we rack up just shy of 20 grand. This is of course not good enough for the king or his fan. I guess extinction wins this time. Little Red Riding Hood challenges us to make a snowman, citing it as the origins of Katamari rolling. Even the king agrees, citing that rolling Katamari will never be quite as fun as rolling snowmen. And maybe that's true. There's no timer, so we leisurely start the snowman head. I spend a solid chunk of time here, just building it up for my own satisfaction. While we don't get large enough to grab the buildings, we grab about everything else. This includes a present containing a mask of the king's father, and a cousin for our trouble. The king and his fan are satisfied with our work, and I'm pretty satisfied too. The next fan is a student who can't pay his electricity bill, so we're sent to collect fireflies in the mountains to help provide light. This is a really cool concept. I would have never thought about accruing fireflies like this. Just when the game starts to feel flat, it loves to offer little off-the-wall surprises like this. We rack up a present easily enough, and on top of the mountain, we find Cousin Dip. He's grooving with the fireflies. What a Chad. Hitting kinda bright, we return and collect the student, completing the level. Neither he nor the king are sated, but we get some glasses from the present, along with our new cousin. We see a cutscene of the young king introducing his girlfriend to his dad. Now rocking Dip with the Papa mask, we're sent to round up cows or bears. Specifically, one cow or one bear, either works. I move the ball 1 inch forward from start onto a small cow, and the level ends. Obviously, the king and the fan are disappointed I fell into such an obvious trap, so we opt to give the level a second go. We get a good ball rolling, but hit a cow pattern cone, which counts for some terrible reason. Run 3, I see a cow cousin, but miss when trying to grab it. We go a few more times, eventually nabbing him. We replace our old tiny planet with a bigger one and call it. A cat asks us to find it some friends at the zoo, so we start rounding up every living creature we can. We get a nice variety of animals, from cats to snakes, monkeys, polar bears, lions. There's even a big King Kong-like ape atop a small mountain. In the end, we pass, but no one is pleased. Nothing new. We get a cousin and a giraffe hat for our trouble. In a cutscene, we see the young king crowned as his father rests. At the behest of a baby, we're tasked with rolling the largest Katamari we can using a limited number of objects. It's pretty hard, and I realized too late that the tall grass counts as an object, wasting space. We managed to pass with a 5-meter ball. The baby doesn't seem upset, and we get peacock feathers from a present. Trying to save a school field trip, cloud rolling is up next. This is another novel level, though the starting angle is pretty bad. We roll clouds of various sizes the city below. Some are shaped like hearts, or food, or trumpets. There's a few large figures around, no doubt causing this weather. As the Katamari grows, the angle gets better, and it's smoother sailing. In the end, the schoolboy seems happy, and we welcome home another cousin. We see a cutscene of the king, now an elder adult, as he gets a special delivery. A bird wants to roll, and roll we do. We're given 19 minutes to roll the largest Katamari yet. We start out in town before getting large enough to go across the water. Here we get bigger and bigger, moving into the further beyond. There's a lot of cool new areas, mostly themed around different famous landmarks. We keep at it, growing ever more, eating the Statue of Liberty. Eventually we get so large we start pulling up pieces of the ground. Alas, I was unsure on where to go post NYC, so I lose a solid chunk of time. This, of course, means I lose, very close to the goal. Again, this is a 19-minute level, so this is a hard loss. That's a solid chunk of time to have to redo. On run 2, I do my best to book it, grinding my teeth as we roll across town. We do pretty well for ourselves, getting large at a reasonable pace. When we get close to goal, I get a little cocky, wandering out into the ocean. We find some small islands, a cousin waiting for us. I roll and roll, hoping I haven't doomed us with exploration. We roll onto a volcanic island, rolling rocks. And just like that, we hit goal, relief flooding over me. We get larger and larger, eventually hitting cloud cover as the timer ends. The king complains as always, but nothing can hurt me. I was assuming that would be the last mission before the dog, but I should have known better. A woman asks us to make a new Saturn, so we're back at it. We're tasked with rolling up exactly 20 cm, but we won't be told the size of our Katamari until we submit it. We go about rolling, trying not to get too big. When I think I've nailed it, I submit. Alas, we've rolled 12 cm, about half of what it ought to be. The king scolds us, but this still passes the level. We try again, this time getting the classroom environment. In the end, I again end up at just over half. I think if this game used freedom units, I'd have a better shot. I'm just saying. In the overworld, the king tells us to go find the dog. We've hit the end of the game. At this point, we have a collection of 59.2%, with 38% of the cousins found. We head into the cosmos. There's a lot more planets than our previous attempt. I take my time, enjoying it. We roll up all the planets and get 169 stars before launching the ball at the sun. the sun sticks, and the game is won. The celebration is colorful to the point of overwhelm, but it's joyous all the same. The king worries for the fate of the Earth, it being the center of the Katamari, but he receives telepathic word from his fans that the planet is just fine. He tells us we might have more fans waiting, but he'll play the credits anyway. The credits are interactive, letting us try to avoid being rolled up by the king. He's fully voiced in Japanese here, a nice touch.
お久しぶりだね。王様です。男の中の男、King of King。王様です。
Funny, he doesn't sound anything like I thought he would.
昨日ね、洗濯物の畳み方について、青ひと少し揉めてしまった王様だから。その時は歌います。歌わせていただきます。
Eventually, we get rolled and the credits end. The final cutscene plays of the king and the queen, enjoying a day out with their princeling. Dropped back into the overworld, we can choose to play the levels again, or explore the 4 remaining hard variant levels found through touching the bamboo sword of memory. While I choose to leave those, I do take on the post-credit mission of saving Earth. We roll up land to try and protect the Earth from an asteroid, the mass is broken up along country lines. It's peak Katamari, blending the absurd with a classroom feeling. I failed the first attempt not thinking along geographical terms. The second go, I aimed for Lower Africa and Europe to get the ball going before rolling up to South America. I managed to get a majority of the countries, saving the planet. It feels like a solid ending. Now that all the solar system is a Katamari, let's roll up our thoughts. At its core, We Love Katamari is a simple game with a simple mechanic, rolling stuff up. Slight variations exist on this, mostly in terms of time limit, object type and size, and total size goal. Through these key variations, we're given about 30 levels, though there is a notable overlap and encouraged replay. While the standard levels with timing and size goals make sense, I often found the further variations were the most fun, i.e. casually rolling the snowman, racing while the Katamari moves on its own, the gingerbread house. This isn't to say all the variant levels are good. Cows or Bears stands out as a novelty that just wasn't very fun to play. I think if the level didn't start out attempting to trick us, I would have enjoyed it more. Likewise, some more standard levels were enjoyable but underused. Collecting every object with no time limit only appeared in cleaning the child's bedroom. This appeals to completionist types like myself, who yearn for the collection experience without the oppression of the clock. And honestly, I think the timer in We Love Katamari takes away from the fun rather than adds to it. The world is dynamic and vibrant, points of interest abound. Being forced to rush through this encourages overlooking the thought put into objects and how you're forming the Katamari itself. Even on levels with longer timers, there's little breathing room. Any hesitation, any doubt on my part led to a failure, and with no checkpoints, having to redo an almost 20-minute level due to the clock is an unneeded brutality. On the flip, I do acknowledge many people likely really enjoy this aspect of the game. I won't count the clock against it, but I think the game could be more widely enjoyed if there were more no-clock, full completion levels. Likewise, the size goal is a core mechanic that causes issues, though only in the way the multiple goals are handled. Larger levels use multiple size goals to guide the player to new areas, a great touch, but one that comes hand in hand with loading screens. I don't know a lot about how games are built or optimized, but this seems archaic for a 2023 remaster. The remaster added the additional Royal Revelry content, so it's not like this was just a graphics upgrade. If they're going as far as to create new content for the game, why not fix the loading issue? I would argue that's more important than 5 new levels that are just harder versions of older ones. Most of the other game aspects are sound though. I like the simple overworld, fans acting as level selects, different objects representing typical game actions like saving or opening the item collection. The item collection is a great idea and a great way to show off the modeling work, but the menu is unpleasant in its presentation and navigation, a real shame. Likewise, the music select menu is also less than ideal, though better than the collections. You can select tracks so they play during levels, but I didn't engage with this, unsure if it would prevent non-selected tracks from playing. The aesthetics of the game lean a lot into daily Japanese life, specifically that of a child. There are classrooms, zoos, school trips, toys, animals dancing around in the backyard. We love Katamari's sense of being grows with the level. The smaller the Katamari, the more likely you are to encounter childlike elements. A larger Katamari encounters more adult elements, leading from daily activities like waiting for the train to grander concepts like historical architecture. In a typical postmodern fashion, the adult loops to childish, giant action figures and dinosaurs walking the earth. Story-wise, we love Katamari as a postmodern framing, a creation of a game simply to satisfy fans of the previous game. It's surprisingly genuine in that motivation, the king reveling in this fact openly and frequently. Everything revolves around celebrating the success of the previous game, the sequel uncaring if you've played it or not. A side narrative of the king's strained relationship with his father is also presented, though this feels more like filler than pointed narrative. While the Royal Reverie levels build off of this, it doesn't seem to add to the narrative in a necessary way. The additional levels could have been given to the prince, and nothing would be lost. Again, I only explored one of these levels, so if I'm wrong on this, feel free to let me know. But as is, it just didn't seem like I would get much out of it, other than more dialogue. The story, though, is best light in a game like this. The focus should be rolling. And while it is, the amount of dialogue in this game is crushing. Everyone has a comment on everything, and the king of the cosmos is really just the king of yapping. I kneel. Much of it is irrelevant babble, or worse, the same joke constantly reskinned. The king and his fans seek to take all the air out of any conversation, leaving the silent prince and his cousins the most endearing characters, which is impressive considering the cousins are all just reskins. Whimsy and absurdity are fine, but oversaturation kills the bit, and the king loves nothing more than murdering the same joke. Alternatively, the music selection of this game is a proper implementation of the theme. The tracks are dramatic, overbearing, difficult, until they aren't. Until they're casual, catchy, and cool. The music really feels created simply for the love of creation, a high honor in my opinion. Any dissonance feels like the result of methodical creation rather than lack of attention, like reading a manuscript in a lost language. It might not make perfect sense to me, but it does within its context. Overall, I'd rate We Love Katamari REROLL plus Royal Revelry a 6 out of 10. Clunky loading, poor controls, and constant yapping plague this game, but its fun base mechanic, colorful exterior, and stage variation keep it from going off the rails. It's a shame that Royal Reverie didn't add much to the base game beyond harder versions of previous levels. A remaster is always a good time to polish what works and retweak what doesn't. An endless mode would suit this game well, and in fact it does have one, though it's limited to specific levels and can only be unlocked after clearing these levels multiple times with different conditions. For a casual guy who just wants to roll crabs together, that's too much effort. I think the Defending Earth level should have been the penultimate level, and an endless mode unlocked after beating the game. This would have been a nice stepping stone into rolling up the cosmos, and a nicer reward. Looking at the achievement data, 84% of Steam players and 35% of Xbox players rolled up 100 things, the easiest achievement to get. This is a pretty big discrepancy, but frankly, I imagine the opening cutscenes, controls, the game's absurdist nature, turn many trying this through Game Pass away. A majority of the other achievements require fulfilling a wish, meaning going above and beyond when clearing a level, so our next baseline is rolling up 1,000 items, which is 52% on Steam, 12% on Xbox. 33% on Steam make the dog's wish come true, which triggers the credits, and only 6% on Xbox. Like usual, playing directly for the experience correlated with completion rate. But to be real, this game is a sequel, so if you're buying it, chances are you know what you're in for. On the inverse, the original game is not on Game Pass, making this the only entry into the series. We Love Katamari REROLL plus Royal Revelry is a fun jaunt into a universe where sticking together is the only method of success. A new Katamari game is due to come out soon, and if I could offer one wish for it, I would want customizable levels, where players could choose the environment and the items that appear, and the win condition. Players would be able to share levels with one another via a player-made level select. I think it would be a very neat concept. I would make an all-crab level. Small crabs to snow crabs. Crab zone. Anyway, don't forget to roll up this video. I'll see you next time.
Katamari Damacy!